What you're looking at right now is the last spawn point of the attacking team in Paraiso, one of the maps in Overwatch 2. It's beautiful, but I wouldn't be mad if most players didn't know about its existence. In game, there is no time to stop and admire the views, and the player is spawned away from the view, facing the action. Noticing that there's an entire city in the background is totally optional, and sometimes even discouraged in the actual game. And so it got me thinking. For most of the game, the players look at the same couple of choke points, while also checking for turrets on the walls or traps on the ground. Apart from maybe a flying character here and there is no real reason to look up or at the player's surroundings really. So in this video, I want to appreciate the amazing design of some of Overwatch's maps and point out some details that I particularly really enjoy. Let's stay in Paraiso for a little bit longer. The roof in Club Synesthesia I think is also worth noting. Not only because it looks cool and plays some music, which is fun, more so because I am curious about how it is to live in one of the houses looking down at the club. And also how it is to live in one of the houses looking down at one of the houses looking down at the club. I think this map is great at showing the dense housing of Rio de Janeiro, and if you took a real tour of the place, at times I feel like it would feel even claustrophobic. All of the houses are merging into each other and are scaling the cliffs and the beaches, like there wasn't enough room for how many people lived there, so they went vertical. What I am also curious about is the sea level in this place, because we start at a beach, then we go a little bit further to see a huge drop in the terrain, and then there is a lake way lower than the sea level. And I don't know what to comment next, because I'm not a water expert, so let's move on. I want to talk about Runasapi next, and oh my god, is it breathtaking. But it leaves me with one question. Where is all of the water going to? This map is all about water energy, but in the center there's this huge water mill that is pumping water into some random cliff. We can see how the water is used to water the crops and how it powers the buildings we play in, but I don't see a good reason to just dump it into thin air. And it might seem like I'm nitpicking here, and you'd be right, but I'm just using this as an excuse to show you how great this map looks and talk about it even further. Let's look at this roof, for example. If you say to yourself that there is nothing here, you wouldn't be incorrect per se, but there is something here. These little statues, for example, or the fact that the roof has grass on it, is a thing that you can only see in a free cam mode, which the game doesn't even have. As a spectator, you even cannot see in there. In no point during gameplay will you ever be able to see this part of the map, and the devs had an excuse to just not put anything here, leave the space empty, as in like without a model even. And I doubt that there would be an uproar in the community if the details were overlooked here, but they aren't, and that's what I'm praising in this video. For a game that's all about shooting and fast-paced fights, there is no need to add so many small details and ambience to the scene. Like food, for example. This is not a simulation game. There are no NPCs. There is no real reason to add food to the maps, so it baffles me that it's so detailed. Let's focus on this restaurant. It has a menu and showcases cuisine that's also all unique and fully modeled in 3D. It even plays some custom music. If you go outside of the restaurant, there is a food stand with donuts sizzling in a pot. Next to it is a fruit stand with actual fruits inside the baskets that the player barely sees even if they are looking for them and stop playing the actual game. It's like that with every shop in every map, and I might even make a separate video appreciating them for how small of a part they play in the big picture of Overwatch gameplay, but how detailed and amazing they really are. We are now going to Samoa, which might just be one of my favorite maps in terms of aesthetics. I don't know, the tropical climate paired with the amazing shaders and smooth textures of Overwatch just does something for me. But we are here for a different reason. All of the maps that I've mentioned in this video are made with gameplay in mind first, and they are all made for different game modes. In Samoa, is no exception. The real kicker is that the control game mode requires the map to be perfectly symmetrical for both sides, as well as for there to be 3 different versions of a point. This means that while designing this map, the art team not only had to keep the perfect symmetry, but also had to have 3 distinctive versions of the map, and for the performance purposes of the game, they all had to be put on the exact same map without any loading screens. So let's start in the city, and as you can see, the playable area is perfectly symmetrical. One of my favorite parts of this point is the aquarium, with actual fully animated 3D fish inside, and oh my god, what is that sound? That one little yacht is doing circles around the shore and is blasting music so loud you can even hear it from the main point. I'm also curious about the boat technology in Samoa, because this yacht is basically not touching the water at all. Anyways, we are again in the middle of a tropical city, but this one feels completely different compared to the one in Paraiso. I can zoom in on the waterfalls and show how flat they really are, but when you see what part of the screen they take in actual gameplay, it's crazy that they even put them there. Now the next area is my favorite, and you can actually see where it is in correlation to the previous point. There are ripe coconuts on the ground, and some crabs that actually walk from place A to place B. Once they move off screen, they disappear of course and teleport to another location to loop the same animation again, but I really appreciate the effort of actually putting them there. While doing research for this video, I've seen people talk about the house where a boat is built, but I've yet to see someone praise these 2 huts. Mainly because they are out of bounds, and there is no logical entry to them. And yet the devs took the time and effort to model a mat, some seating, some table, I think a fireplace even, and some kind of a basket. The house next to the hut is playing some music, which also you wouldn't be able to hear really in actual battle. During no point in the actual game would you, as the player, get the opportunity to go inside of this hut. You'd be lucky to even notice the basket, but you would never see the rest of the fully modeled and textured furniture placed around the fireplace. Nobody would miss this detail, so it makes me really happy to see it still included. And I think it's beautiful. One thing that you might be able to see, far away in the distance that is the volcano that even makes sounds that you can hear from every point in the map. If we go inside, there is the 3rd and last point on this map. Again, it's perfectly symmetrical and it all looks very cool. In everyday gameplay, there is no reason to look outside of the main objective, which is the point. You are actively sabotaging your team even if you are constantly looking up. But look at this! This is what you're playing under of. And I haven't mentioned my favorite detail yet. To distinguish on which part you are playing on, there are different colors on the map, and it's also built into the story. One side is fueled by lava or magma, and it's all hot and red, while the other is filled with water or some kind of a cooling liquid. And because of that, not only is the color palette different on technically identical parts of the same map, but also while little details like this leaky pipe or the red steam are different and are on one side only. I'm going to finish this video with, in my opinion, the most beautiful map in the entire game. Suravasa is full of details I'd love to point out. One of the more interesting things I found while snooping around is the crocodiles or alligators. Don't kill me, I don't know what they are. In order to see them in game, you have to go away from the objective and even risk getting pushed off a cliff. Because you never see them up close or their full body, none of them have modeled arms or legs. Some of them are also very well hidden, which is a terrifying thought to have in real life. Because of the game mode it's made for, there are actually 5 main points of interest that had to be accounted for while designing this map, and they all have something unique about them. So much so that you can even tell where they are just by looking at the area from afar. Again, I have to remind you how far we are from the actual places where the players will fight each other. Just by playing the game, you will never notice those things. Like, look at this! Someone took their time to model all of these boats and stairs, and then the animated fake people, for most people do not even see them. Or the existence of this thing that is so big and so far away from the actual map, I can't even come close to it in freecam. In games like Overwatch, the player barely looks up, so it will never not amaze me how much it's taken into account in places like the market or the plaza. There is no real moral to this video. I just wanted to share some of my observations and thoughts into this stupid amount of thought and effort put into places that I think even the devs knew most people would overlook. And to all of my Overwatch players, how many did you really overlook? Don't worry, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Most of these details are meant to be in the background, and if you are actively looking for them, then you are not playing the game as it was intended. So I guess the moral could be that going off the beaten path can lead you to new discoveries and can make you see the world in a totally new light. Or realize that you are looking at virtual alligators and sizzling donuts.